of a morning already on our first podcast of Hand to Mouth.
Technical difficulties.
Hi, Marie.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
At least we're hoping it's going to be eventually.
We hope so. So jump on there live. We'll be getting going here, right now actually. But it's just been, one of those kind of days. Which just like, I think it's just kind of funny because it's just part of a first podcast.
It should be.
Like get all the bad crap out of the way right away. And,
Wait, what?
And that's why I'm here.
Oh God! And we were hoping not to hear from him for at least a few minutes. But let me just acknowledge really quickly. Thank you all for those who've been listening to our podcast with that I did with Michael for the last year. Michael Gardner, All Forked Up. Michael and I are still good friends and kind of want to keep it that way. So actually really did have a blast with him and learned so much and had so many great guests on. And I want to kind of go in a different direction. And I just thought in my head, God, Marie would be so great because she has such a good personality and she knows so many people and you know what? Here we are.
Down over there, Tommy Gomes.
There's so many great one-liners. I just got to shut up.
Yeah, he does. But anyways, Marie, thank you for agreeing to do this with us, and we'll see how this wild ride plays out.
Absolutely. Well, we're off to a fun, adventurous start so far. So.
Yes, we are. We are. Yeah. So that's pretty much what's going on. We're going to be doing this every couple of weeks. We'll, join our Hand to Mouth podcast page. That's how you can listen live if you're not doing it already. We have our Instagram account up, our Twitter. I don't even know if we've got Twitter yet, but
I think we're going to ignore Twitter for right now.
Yeah, we might. I try to ignore it as much as I can. And so we got all kinds of good things going on. Exciting guests coming up, and even a couple of them sitting next to me right now. So let me go ahead and introduce a man who needs no introduction. Tommy Gomes, at least in San Diego, he needs no introduction. For those of you listening all over the world, Tommy comes from a family of Portuguese fishermen. Been around 125 years, so a little bit of history there. He's at Catalina Offshore Products and is sort of the face of that. In fact, this man has his face on a can of tuna. How many of you can say that, okay? Nobody, I'm sure. So, and I think that's pretty funny because every time I open a can of that, I'm like, now my appetite is ruined. There's Tommy's face. Just kidding.
It
still smells the same, and that's how you
know.
It should be a can of ham.
Yes, that's exactly what it should be. But I love Tommy's motto, good seafood isn't... Wait a minute.
No,
go ahead. I'm going to screw it up.
Good seafood's not cheap, and cheap seafood's not
good.
Know
right.
your source, ask questions, and support the American fisherman.
Okay, he's got that wired. Okay, definitely. So that's our first guest. Go ahead, Marie.
All right. Well, on the opposite side of the food and beverage industry spectrum is a strong, outspoken female restaurateur who has carved out a little niche in the San Diego neighborhood of University Heights. Small bar owner Karen Barnett has a really long history in the music and bar scene here in San Diego. But she's also, she's most well known for her very small bar.
I don't think it's that small.
It is really tiny, and it has a slightly irreverent attitude, like
sometimes,
like the owner.
Yeah.
But what I feel you do remain dedicated to good service and good food that's hearty and affordable for your guests.
Absolutely.
And
it's delicious.
It is delicious,
yeah.
And we invited you guys here today because we do know that there are quite a few challenges in providing really great product in San Diego, and also in trying to provide that great product to the outlets and the restaurants and the bars and the people that feed us at a price that people think is acceptable and that keeps your doors open.
Absolutely.
Frankly.
Yep.
So, Tommy, tell us about what it is that you provide in the.
Get off your phone, Tommy.
I'm texting
He's
Chef
like
Steve Brown, who needs uni shells for a special
Screw
pop-up.
Steve Brown. Hi,
I
Steve.
had
It's
talked
okay.
to you earlier.
Okay.
And what are you, a teenage girl? Put your phone down.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
so I had the question in my mind as it was being told to me. However, I was interrupted, and the flying monkeys in my head have erupted into a party room. So go ahead and fire that off to me again.
Okay, hold on. Let's actually, I
Don't
just
wink at me.
Yeah.
what I'm finding is we're having more technical difficulties.
Oh my goodness.
Here, you talk to Tommy. I'll try and do this.
Tommy.
Yeah.
I talk to him all the time.
Tell me what's going on with, the price of things, why people complain about all that kind of stuff, and yet they want quality. I mean, what is that?
I mean, here's the deal. and this is the real deal. I mean, I'm the first generation of a TV dinner.
Okay.
Okay, and so we laugh about that, and we do.
Yeah.
Boil in a bag, meat and gravy and all that stuff.
Right.
And since then, our food has gone right down the toilet, literally. It passes right through us with no nutritional value whatsoever.
That's true.
That's very
Absolutely.
visual, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it all depends on where your mind's at, and you're apparently
Well,
supposed to be in the toilet. So, there's a slow change going on, and good food's not cheap. We read the label of what we feed our dogs and cats, but we don't read the label of what we're feeding our kids. And our kids and ourselves, cancer is running rampant, breast cancer, testicular cancer, colon cancer, and everything else. Yet, we keep pumping this garbage in our system. So back to the question about seafood. This country is being shipped in massive amounts of foreign seafood that's coming in uninspected by the FDA.
Mhm.
A lot of it is not regulated, not licensed. There's no trace and trust of the product whatsoever. And the fact is that foreign fish is cheap and domestic seafood is expensive. But these men and women that go out to sea to risk their lives and work hard, and once it's in your system to be a fisherman, commercial fisherman, it's very difficult to get out, because we are one that want to work by ourselves, and we want to be the captain of our own domain, and we want
Right.
to bring in the best quality product that there is. Unfortunately, domestic seafood is expensive, and we need to understand that for the spirit of the animal and the tradition and heritage of what fishing is all about. We need to treat this product with the respect that it deserves. And it's a shame that we see, swai coming into this country, which is a farm-raised catfish in the
Right.
Mekong Delta of Vietnam. And I don't know if you remember that little conflict we had in Southeast Asia.
A little bit.
And we dumped massive amounts of toxic chemicals in that river, and yet we're growing that stuff, and we're flooding this country with this cheap, shitty seafood
Yeah.
with no trace and trustability, while our American fishermen are being pushed right to the limit and right to the brink of extinction, because we have permits, we have fees, and we have government observers on our boat telling us when to fish, how to fish, what to fish, and everything. And
Right.
so these are things that are actually happening and are actually engaged. It's probably a little bit more than what you wanted for an answer, but I got plenty of that coming.
Well, you seem to know your stuff, so yeah.
Well, and for sure, that raises the price up for you to be able to provide for all of your purveyors. So Karen, in a business like yours, what does that do for your options?
Well, for me, I feel like it's frustrating. I run a bar and grill, and I want my food and my prices to be approachable. But what do I buy when I'm shopping for myself at home? I want organic vegetables. I want to know where my meat comes from. And customers don't want to pay the price that comes with that. So when they come to a place like mine, if they see that I have a nice fish for special, I don't want that. I'll have the corn dogs. So,
Yeah.
which corn dogs are awesome. However,
Why? Just because of the cost of the meal, you mean?
yeah, and they're like, I don't know, and that's frustrating to me, because when you go out, it should be a treat. You should be treating yourself to well-prepared food, things that you can't make at home, good quality ingredients, prepared the correct way, and it should be a treat.
And my experience when I tell people, I try to buy all organic at home as much as I can. You can only do so much sometimes when you go out. And when people say to me, oh, but organics is more expensive, it's not that much more expensive. And the same thing with fish. I remember, I just bought like eight shrimp from COP to put on a dish a week or two ago, and it was like $8, So what if it's a couple of dollars more than it is at a crappy place where I could go buy it? I don't understand why people get such minutia like that and at the cost of their own health.
Well, I think that people should be focused more on what is their money going towards. Is their money going towards, like he's saying, American fishermen, and it's staying within the country, it's going to a good job. It's not going to, let's say I don't want to go to Small Bar and have fish and chips, but I'm going to go to McDonald's to get a fillet of fish.
Right.
Well, where do you think that? I almost said the F word. Where do you think that fish came from? I said a different F word.
There you go.
Where do you think that fish is coming from?
Yeah.
And you're paying, what, a couple bucks less to eat something that is going to make you feel like crap. It's not good for your body.
So one of the best ways to narrow it down for people who are not in the foodie world is, let's say that you buy a high-performance car. Let's call it a 2018 Corvette. And when you pull up to the gas pump, you put the most expensive gas in it because you want your car to run right. You don't put the cheap gas in it. So stop putting shitty fuel in your body so your body doesn't run like crap and you don't feel burnt out and lethargic and all of that, where you tell yourself that, oh, I'm just so tired, I just need a good night's rest. No, what you need to do is you need to start eating right.
Well, and don't you feel, you know, the general population is kind of getting that, and I have to go by things like, I go into Vaughn's now to do some of my shopping, and they have a whole line of organics now. That didn't exist a few years ago. So in my head, I'm thinking the public is becoming more aware, but they're still bitching a lot.
But organics is a buzzword.
Yeah.
That's something
true.
that anybody can put on labeling,
Yeah.
and it, to me,
Right.
that doesn't mean what it did
No, you still
10,
have
15
to,
years ago.
Well, you still have to be certified by the QAI.
Sure, but I
Well,
still read the ingredients.
That's
Yeah.
like saying saying that the fish is sustainable, you know, and who's to say it is or it's not? You wanna pay $50,000 for Monterey Bay Aquarium to say that you're selling sustainable seafood?
It's a business.
A company like us, we don't have $50,000 to go get in that label, but what we do have are guys like me, which are on the front lines of, and I use this term, trace and trust, long before a website came out called Trace and Trust, know your source, ask questions. And some of the things that set us apart at Catalina is we actually have people that have boots on deck that have actually stood watch in the pilot house, that have actually ran boats and have done commercial fishing. And the same thing with our local farmers, whether they're a protein farmer or a vegetable farmer and stuff like that. Ask questions, get to know where your food is coming from. It's just that simple.
But do you think the general population really does that? I say generally no. It's still a niche sort of culture of people really wanting to know where their sources of food came
Well,
from.
it is a niche and it's slowly changing, but take our friend Naz, right? She just
Yeah.
went, she's done, right? Is she still selling?
I don't think she's done, I don't know, but I know she was taking food from restaurants and
Yeah.
you know, sourcing them out to places.
Yeah, and this is good stuff, and yet you can go and get organic fruit and vegetables from her at a much lesser cost than you would.
Because
like-
they're blemished and, you know,
Right.
whatever.
Which is
They're not the-
ridiculous.
Who cares? Yeah.
Aren't we all a little
But people
blemished?
can't.
I mean, look at me.
Do I have to? Come on.
That is some bruised fruit to my left.
Well, when you think about it, it isn't the general population that is necessarily aware. You know, I think that in the food circles, yes, absolutely. But think about, I don't know if anybody saw my Chef Mylene Chavez's post yesterday about
Yeah.
a dozen oysters for $32,
I did.
which you hand shuck, and they've got all the accoutrements and things that come with it. And someone's complaining about that dozen oysters being $32. You know, and at the end of it, it's $2.66 per
Oyster.
oyster, I believe is what she ended
Yeah.
up tallying. And, you know, and someone came in and complained about that cost, but nobody goes home and gets their own oysters and does it because it's a
Right.
pain in the butt.
Right.
To
So,
shock them, do the whole
Right.
thing.
you know,
Similar, and not seafood, but bar and restaurant,
Mhm.
chicken wings. Everybody wants the quartered
Mm.
chicken wings. Guess which kind of chickens those are and where they come from.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
you know, if I do them and I'll do organic, I'll do Mary's organic,
Mhm.
and customers will complain, oh, but they're so little. Well, at least I know what they ate. You know,
Right.
they're
Yeah.
not eating their
Right.
own crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but even when I have to admit, it's like my old mindset because I'm older, I think, too. And even though I know all this and I study all this and I'm involved in it, but when I do see that many oysters for that amount of money, my first thing in my head goes, whoa,
$32.
that's expensive.
Yeah.
But I turn it around and I know that I gotta pay that if I want that quality.
Some things are worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to understand that there's no such thing as a 60-day dry-aged oyster. You've got only so much time.
God, that sounds
jokes.
awful.
You gotta-
So many jokes.
You gotta shuck it, slurp it, and move on to
Wow.
the next one.
What are we talking
Are we
And
about?
it's
talking
the
about
same-
oysters?
I know.
And it's the same thing.
Jeez.
Yeah,
I'm still in my
that's-
30s. I don't get it.
I don't get it.
But I think we also have to think about things
And you
like,
never will.
So, that's one of the things about good protein in general. You know, good seafood is expensive. Good chicken is expensive. Good steak is expensive. I mean, I personally, once a year, I have no problem dropping $125 on a 90-day aged steak once a year, if I
Right.
know that it's done right.
Yeah.
But I have a problem dumping $65 on a steak that just comes out and it's a mediocre steak. It would,
But I think there's ways around that. I think there's ways that you can have special. I mean, I do it at my bar. I do ribeyes on Monday nights. They're hand cut.
and it's a smoking
and
deal.
it's a
It's
great
amazing.
deal. I mean,
Oh,
you
that's
might have
right.
to
Yeah,
you might
yeah.
have to wait for a table, which
Mm-hmm.
you won't. But
Because they don't let me in.
Special.
because you walk out because you can't sit right away. He's got to go text somebody. But there's ways around it, and I think you can have specials, and you can. Things like that should be special. It shouldn't be
Well, and I think-
expected to pay that price every day, all the time.
And there's also an issue with, we look at a plate of food and it's for a certain amount of money, we expect it to be gigantic, right? So when you say 12 little oysters, $32, doesn't equal an enormous amount of food. And we're such a big, giant plate of food
Oh, yeah.
country.
Then why do we look at
It's
something
tough.
like caviar and go, oh, this is the best, and this tiny thing is
Well,
$300?
Right.
Right.
It's if you're not into it, you're not into it.
It should be
but
special.
It
That's
it
all
should
there
be
is.
special,
Yeah.
and it should be respected. And a lot of times, they are expensive because you want to make sure it gets paid for and it doesn't get wasted.
And there is this expectation because of the way we overeat in America of an enormous place of food. I mean, you go to Clang Jumper and,
Right.
and one piece of protein is as big as your head, and it's just ridiculous. But I think, again, I'm going back to the general populace. They expect that.
It's true.
Yes,
And
they do. And
how
I
do you
think
get beyond that? How?
Well,
Really?
The simple fact is that in our industry, in what we do in the restaurants, and whether you're a vendor or a chef or an owner, we have to feed the masses, okay? And unfortunately for us, people like myself and Karen and those that are trying to do the right thing, dock the plate, farm the table, whatever, what have you, and serve proper food, we have to feed the masses, and those masses are controlled and run by the big boys of Cisco and
Right.
US Foods and stuff like that. And so
Right.
when you're producing that much stuff, you can bring the cost down in order to flood the market. And it reminds me of a movie with Charlton Heston back in the 70s called Soylent Green.
Oh, yeah.
See, we have to feed the masses, and so we feed the masses of chemically induced, chemically laced
that's
food.
what we do right now. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
true.
And so, what do? We need to slowly educate people, and if you can turn 2 people out of 10, then you're ahead of the game. And you can educate children by going to Olivewood Gardens, by going and doing work with Carl at Kitchens for Good to educate those young people that are in the culinary field and move them up, and just kind of plant that seed. And if you plant that seed, maybe that shit'll grow. I mean, can you say that?
You just did.
Did.
Yeah.
You said chit.
Chit, right.
So
Right?
that'll grow and flourish, and then maybe they can pass it on and pass it on. You're not gonna turn the tide on everybody. It's not
No.
gonna happen. But if you keep doing the right thing and you feel that you're doing the right thing, then you're doing the right thing.
And you're right. I mean, sometimes it's going to take years and years. I'm hoping younger generations coming up will be more demanding of those kind of qualities and knowing where their sources of food came from, because I still say it's why the big chain restaurants exist and I think are still doing well.
Yeah.
We go and eat, us foodies, I mean, whether you like to be called that or not, I don't give a crap. But, if you go there and you eat and you avoid those places. You don't want to go to those places. We go and we're like, the quality is just, you can taste
It's not good.
It's not good, right.
Well, it's preservatives and it's sodium
Right.
and it's all the things
Right.
that make it last so that they don't have any product waste.
Right.
And if we actually if we put more of our income towards sustainable food and, that whole, everything just being healthier, you're gonna watch those prices go down because we'll be consuming more.
We have another thing. I mean, you have single moms that have 2-3 kids.
I was just going in
and
that
the-
direction, yeah.
And dad's out of the picture.
They're on
Mom-
food stamps,
Mom's working
all that
2
stuff,
jobs,
right, yeah.
going to night school. She's trying
Yeah.
to do the right thing, trying to raise her children right. And at the end
Right.
of the day, she's tired, and she brings home food, which is, a pizza or burgers,
McDonald's,
or
yeah,
burritos
right.
and stuff like that. And our kids become, they're not getting the nutrition that they need. And don't even get me started on the stuff that they're eating at school.
Oh yeah, that's another whole
So-
thing.
Absolutely.
These are things that are on the front lines. We're at Specialty Produce. While I walk through, Bob, I hope you're not listening. No, I was.
Hi, Bob.
I grabbed a handful of cherry tomatoes and started popping those. Went over, saw green beans, grabbed a couple of those and started macking on those as I was walking in.
Because
I
you
mean,
know here you can.
Right.
That's true. That's true.
You can't walk
Yeah.
through a grocery store and be so confident.
Well, and then the same thing
Good point.
at Catalina Offshore. If I'm there and you don't know how to cook something, I'm gonna cook something for
You're
you.
gonna
I'll
show us,
you
right.
how
But
to
good
do it.
food can be prepared so simply.
Easy.
Yes.
You don't
Yeah.
need
Mhm.
a bunch of crap on it. You
Mhm.
can
Yeah.
steam a piece of fish, a little salt and pepper. You know, like everything, it can be so easy. And people make it way too hard on themselves.
Right.
And in San Diego, on top of that, San Diego is just a really expensive market to do business. So-
San Diego's expensive to
Let's
do
talk
anything.
about that a little bit. Yeah.
You know, so for that, I mean, trying to keep your doors open, one, and keeping quality up is tough. But it's, you know, what in San Diego can be done. If you had pie in the sky, what would be the one thing that you think that they could do in San Diego that would assist all the small business owners, especially restaurants, in being able to, you know, keep their doors open and their food costs low?
You know, I think there should be a working together moment with government, with FDA, with businesses that are doing the right thing, that are serving the right kind of food that we want people to be consuming, and there should be tax breaks for that, I
Yeah.
think.
There you go.
I'm not involved in the restaurant side of proteins other than seafood, so, but I would really like to see an FDA facility down here to where our local chefs can go ahead and harvest and have it butchered right here within San Diego
Mhm.
County, instead of having to get it all the way up north, and
Right.
that's just ridiculous,
And that's
you know?
stressful on the animals.
It is very much so.
Yeah.
And a little more lenient, I mean, without indulging an address, I know that there's a place in San Diego where there's a food truck in their backyard and everything's plumbed into the house and they're cranking out some amazing food that you won't find anywhere north of the border, but you do down south.
Mhm.
You know, whole goats and stuff like that on a spigot, and this is in a
Yum.
residential neighborhood, and the food is phenomenal. Totally undercover and not
Right.
supposed to be there, but we need to seriously think about lightening up on some of these rules and regulations so that we can help not only our restaurant owners, but help the general public eat better. But we won't do that because big money, big government, and the big companies.
Well, when you're healthier, you have less medical expenses, so healthcare should be less. To me,
Yeah,
it
all
all
ties in.
in
Yeah,
together.
yeah. You just you.
It's a no-brainer to me, but there's so much politics and everything is so corrupted that people are like, but we make all this money over here, so no, this is working. No, it's not. Look at what's happening in the
Right.
world. It's not working.
Yet we still have restaurants opening every week.
And
And
closing.
closing.
And
Yeah,
closing.
and closing. Yeah, exactly.
Closing.
Yeah, and that's hard to watch, especially if you know it's a person whose heart's in the right place. They're doing everything they can. It's scary to me, you know, because I'm struggling, and it's scary to see someone else actually shut their doors and go, this is a reality, and that's a bummer.
And it's tough to do business in the state of California. I mean, our wages are going up, our food costs are going up, everything's
Right.
going up. And, you know,
There's nobody supporting us.
yeah, and if it wasn't for, just think where we would be if it wasn't for social media, if it wasn't for, and you actually
Right.
had to pay a lot of money for advertising. And
Wow, yeah.
we relied on the unknown
Mhm.
eater from Channel 8 or whatever that guy was from. And you know what I mean? It would be terrible, because I know my godfather was John Tarantino. He had a restaurant on the waterfront, 5102 North
Yeah.
Harbor Drive, right down there. He was there for 42 years, and one day he just closed up, walked away.
Because
It got too expensive, and the port wanted him to remodel and everything, and, you know, things like that. I mean, you take small bars, Karen's got massive amounts of talent and cranks out some unbelievable food, and there's how many restaurants on your same block?
oh god. that's so-
Maybe 5 or 6, but actually there weren't a lot. There may be 3 when I started.
Yeah, and now
Yeah.
there's more
So
and
8 years
more.
later, it's
So we
turning into a
take-
real neighborhood.
Yeah, we take that, and then you take something like East Village and Clowntown Gas Lamp,
Tell us how you really feel.
which is
It's
just,
true though.
you know,
Yeah, I
crazy.
know.
People go in there and they spend all this money,
The food
So
is
much
millions
money.
of dollars, and
Mostly
then next
not
thing you know,
good,
they're
yeah.
done.
Yeah.
you know, oh, we gotta get out. They want a short-term money for, you know, that there's no time of investment.
Well, there's no return down there because it's all tourism and there's
And
no
rent.
loyalty, and they're paying rent. And there's no loyalty to a business like that.
Yeah.
And we could just go on and on even about just how ridiculous the permitting processes are in San Diego, how expensive it is here. You know, I did a whole podcast once on just, what are you, crazy, opening a restaurant? I mean, it is the most risky business, you know, and I'm preaching to the, you know, the choir here, but to open. And
There's
then
a
it's,
love for it.
and there is a love for it, and then on top of it, many of us want that quality, and we're willing to pay for it, even if it means, okay, I can't maybe buy something here because I really want that great meal.
Well, I
you
think
know?
we say we're willing to pay for it, but I mean, Tommy brought up the point about social media. Social media has opened my eyes in the last 5 years with just being in different food groups, watching people, what they complain about, what they praise.
Oh, we've read your post. Oh yeah.
I'm talking about food right now, and I think it's really interesting to see, you know, someone posts a picture of something they bought somewhere, and it's like,
Yeah.
you really thought that was that special? What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Well, so.
They're saying hello to chefs, thinking about, hi, Jack.
Well, if you had one thing for people to take away from this conversation
Yeah.
today, Tommy, what would it be?
Karen.
Take me away. 619-8.
Gosh.
All seriousness, just know your source, act local, think local, and talk to farmers, talk to fishermen, talk to your vendors, talk to your chefs, get to know where your food is coming from.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
support the small businesses. For
Right.
crying out loud, why are you eating at Denny's and Red Lobster and
Because their cheddar biscuits are so freaking good.
so
No,
does
I'm
Matt
just kidding.
Gordon at Urban Solace.
Oh, I know, right?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And his tomato jam. I
Yeah.
mean, come
Believe
on.
me, I don't eat a Red Lobster.
I know.
Yeah, I know. I just had to throw that in.
And stay away from farm shrimp, please.
Yeah, exactly. What about you, Karen? What?
I think my stance is more put your money where your mouth is. If you wanna say, you know, shop local, drink local, you know, all that, then eat
Yeah.
local.
There you go.
Don't go to Starbucks. Go to the place right next door, the coffee shop that's been there for 20 years.
Thank
Okay.
you. And what do you guys got coming up that you want to promote and say something to the audience
What do you got going on,
about?
Tommy?
Yeah, I can't comment on that. I leave that up to Rebecca.
Okay.
Are there any collaboration kitchens coming up, or are we on a slow period right now?
Yeah, we're on it's gonna be a long, slow period.
Okay.
Any new programs coming out at Catalina? New
No,
fish?
nothing.
You didn't start delivering?
Yeah, we started delivering to local restaurants and all that, and so I really appreciate everybody that jumped on board with that. Also appreciate everybody who shared the fact that our van got ripped off. We got that back.
How long did it take?
It's a little less than 12 hours.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
Social
good.
media,
Super
amazing.
cool.
Yeah.
Right, it was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we've got exciting things coming up for Catalina. There's gonna be some really cool changes going on, and it's gonna be fun.
Cool.
Awesome.
What about you, Karen? You got anything special coming up?
I do. Tomorrow night, I'm doing an event with Bear Republic, Sonoma Pride event for the wildfires that were in Sonoma County.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
On the 17th, a Sunday, I have brunch with Santa Claus. Santa coming to the bar, and he will have a
Nice.
big sack,
Can I,
a big sack
can I sit on his
full of,
lap?
full of
Jeez.
things for children of all ages.
Right on.
And it's also a South Norte brewing event. Have special going on for that. Food
Right.
specials, beer specials. What else do I have going on?
See, that's the kind of
We'll
stuff
be open
people
Christmas
need to
night.
go do.
Yeah, they do.
These local food events.
Well,
that
that's more fun.
Yeah,
But what are you
that's
gonna
a
do?
lot of fun.
Stand in a line at
Absolutely.
the mall and have your kid
Right,
cry and be
right.
upset, or you can go get a beer
That's
and it's a
right.
breakfast
While
and,
he's
and
sitting
watch
on
your kid
satellite.
cry, and then be like, it's okay, and then give him some
Exactly.
bacon and it's all better.
And we'll do an
Yes.
event together with Bitter Brothers
January.
in January.
Yeah, we have a beer dinner at the end of January. I have a lot going on. I have a
Yeah.
goals night. I'm doing a busload of bar patrons.
Oh,
We're going to a
fun.
goals game, and we'll
Right on.
probably
Yeah,
throw,
goals, go
throw
goals.
stuff at him.
Right on. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Really appreciate it. And we've got a great guest coming up on our next podcast that Marie will tell you about.
We do. We're really excited that on, let's see, December
19th.
19th, Bernard Guillot from the Marine Room will be joining us
Woohoo.
in studio. So we're
Yeah,
really
we're
excited
looking
about
forward
that.
to that.
Thank both of you for trudging your way through
Thank you for having
the
us.
first podcast with us. We appreciate it.
This is the first podcast I've done. at the
At
specialty.
specialty.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we feel so
Not my
honored.
first. This isn't my first time.
Yeah, I know. I've heard.
And several things. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, we
MRC.
apologize again for any technical difficulties, and hopefully we'll have Facebook Live up next time. And who knows, you may even see it pop up from this because we're doing secret little recordings and stuff here and there. So thank you guys for joining us on our first Hand to Mouth podcast. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Gotta go.